our thought for food and food for thought for the week, which says, it is certain in any case that ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have. James Baldwin. I take that again. It is certain in any case that ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have. That is our food for thought and thought for food, and it's so fitting for the conversation we are going to have, because we will not allow ignorance to get into alliance with power. It will be the worst thing to happen to a people, and in this case, the Akwa Ibom people, and in short, Nigerians. Having said that, I want to introduce our guest before we take very short take from what we did last week. We won't take everything because we have lost quite a great deal of time so far. In the studio with me today is somebody I've never come across. But because we dig deep, we ask questions, we look for experts for any particular matter because we believe that ideas matter. And I'm privileged to host Mr. Ubom Okun Effiat. He is a geoinformation, remote sensing, and GIS consultant, an associate member of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, and member African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment. Mr. Ubom Okun Effiat. You're welcome to Open Forum with Citizen MKO.
Thank you very much, MKO.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is mine.
Yeah.
I like the smile on your face.
Thank you.
And then we have a man who has been like a mystery man. We have worked together for about 3 to 4 years going. Unfortunately, some of the issues that were raised, even at the Open Forum Town Hall meeting, I think in 2021 or 2022, was so shocking that we were held spellbound by his presentation. And we shouted, government, please listen to us. And nothing happened. But the joy now is that one of those issues that was raised there is actually somewhere higher than Akwa Ibom State. This mystery man is called Mr. Ekpo. And he is the Director of Studies and Surveys, Crude Formation and Survey Limited. Mr. Ekpo, our mystery man, you're welcome to Open Forum with Citizen MKO.
Thank you, Mr. MKO, and good morning to the good people of Akwa Ibom State and the listeners.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, you are welcome to Open Forum with Citizen MKO.
Thank you very much.
Now, the issue of the World Court judgment, we want to start from the beginning. Before it got to the World Court judgment, there were issues that had to do with the ownership of Bakassi between Akwa Ibom and Cross River at a point. But I remember during the time of Bako, that Bako went to Bakassi and built a school and built a health center. And all I knew then was that Bakassi was part of Mbo, local government area. We want to start from the beginning because we're going to build it such that even a child will be able to understand the real story behind Bakassi Peninsula and the Bakassi, the inhabitants, which local government who administered Bakassi before controversies set in. I want to start with our mystery man, Mr. Ekpo. Give us briefly, we're going to be very sharp on various points so that we can grasp as much as we can before we move to next week, because I'm sure this conversation can end today. Tell us from the origin, was Bakassi part of Akwa Ibom or part of Cross River State? Yes, sir.
Thank you, MK. The owners of Bakassi Peninsula are Akwa Ibom people. By birth, by ancestral, naturally, geographically, by the people that are occupying there, by the language, by Bakassi is oral language. Bakassi is not English or French language, not Efik language. but a core people language of Oro nation, Bakassi, from Biakabasi. You get Bakassi.
Take that again. From where?
Biakabasi.
Good.
In Oro language is fear God.
Fear God.
That was the first seafarer who took his canoe and sailed around, discovered that Effiat is surrounded by water. Then he took his second to Akwa Jaffa, Akwa and discovered a land. And he took from Meme River, that is from Akbausa,
Yes.
down to Indian. He discovered there was a large portion of land. So he stooped down from his canoe and make a sign, fear Biagabasi, meaning fear God for the creation of this environment. That is the actual meaning of Bakassi.
Beautiful. Now, beyond Bakassi.
Then around people going early to cross to the other side of Cameroon, they named the place Bakassi, meaning Bakakesem.
Mm-hmm.
That is the history of.
So Bakassi is not a word in French, and it's not a word in Effiat language.
Yes, not in English, not Cameroonian language.
Not English. Good. Now, before now, it was administered. Government had presence, and I have seen part of reactions on social media where I think it was Architect Twitter to you. He said that his father, Barrister O.O. Ita, represented Bakassi in the Eastern House of Assembly 1954 to 1966 and as an elected member. And even he himself represented Bakassi in the Anyagolu-led Constituent Assembly as an elected member in 1988 to 1989 confab. And he concluded by saying, this or that is living history. And another person who has so much insight about Bakassi, Prince Christopher Seyu, well, still on this conversation said, prior to 23rd September 1987, when Akwa Ibom State was carved out of the then Cross River State, which of the former 17 local government areas of Cross River had administrative jurisdiction over Bakassi? Let me get to Mr. Ubom. Do you have an idea? Or would let Mr. Man, Mr. Ekpo, still conclude. Which local government area in the 17 local government areas of Cross River had administrative jurisdiction over Bakassi? Was there any?
There was none, because Bakassi was part of Uyo province. Bakassi was not part of Calabar province. From 1959, regional government by the British, none of the villages of Bakassi was at Cross River. By the boundary demarcation by the British, none of those villages was ceded to Calabar. It was pure, even up to the creation of 12 states. That was in the 3 regions. Creation of 12 states by Yakubu Gawan. You see the Southeastern State Edit. All the names and villages remain based on the colonial 1959 laws.
Okay.
None of the villages. Then to Cross River State, the Cross River State Edit was equally carried those villages under Uyo province, which is Akwa Ibom today.
That's right.
When Akwa Ibom State was created in 1987, Akwa Ibom State Edit is there. All the names of villages are in Akwa Ibom legally. So even National Boundary Commission has no authority, since those laws were not amended, to push any of the Akwa Ibom villages in Bakassi to Cross River. Cross River State had only 4 villages from Ikang, Akwa Ikang. While Akwa Ibom State establishes within the stretches of Ego, that is ECOWAS region, that is the territory.
Yes.
Gulf of Guinea. All those villages are established from Oro down to Bamoso, Cameroon, Bamenda. So Cross River State has no authority to cross over.
Let me interject you. You are rich in history. That's why we are saying, and we are hoping that government is listening to us. Now, people that are not aware will say, there's Bakassi that was created by Abacha and to be said to be a part of Cross River State. Can you just speak to that very happening? How Bakassi or a locality was now called Bakassi attributed to being part of Cross River State?
What happened was that when the case went to the Hague, the owners of the Bakassi Peninsula, which is Akwa said, did not carry it along. Were not carried along. The wrong people, Cross River State represented Bakassi. That is why we lost out the case.
Because they did not have facts.
There was all the facts are here in Akwa Ibom.
Now
that was the reason. Now what happened is that
yes.
On that note, what really happened is that it was this. I mean, Abacha decided that the man will not come out boldly in Akwa Ibom State because Bakassi was not recognized by the Nigerian by the constitution of the country as a local government. It was Mbo.
It was a part of Mbo local government.
It was covering the Bakassi areas. That
yes.
is Effiat to the other side of Bakassi Peninsula. It was Mbo local government that is recognized up until today. The constitution have not been amended. So if Bakassi still lies on Akwa Ibom State, but then Abacha said that they should create Bakassi as a local government. That Bakassi was not the Bakassi Peninsula of Akwa Ibom State. It was name impersonation. Selected former communities in Akwa and named Bakassi local government.
You are hearing this.
With the villages in Akwa.
You are hearing this from Open Forum,
which
is an MKO.
Which is the headquarters. Because Cross River State knew that they cannot come down to Bakassi Peninsula or Mbo or Bana
to claim
to establish a local government because it is not their land.
Now let me come to our consultant here. I believe that our listeners are having the best of time hearing history at its best. Mr. Ubom Okon Effiong, you are a consultant and you have heard mystery man, Mr. Ekpo, reeled out history that may be difficult for anybody to counter. Do you have what to add there? And having to do with your expertise, what would you add briefly before I take on a dedicated question to you?
Okay, very quickly. Mr. Ekpo has told us some very underlying historical facts. Now, one of the guiding ideas in the description of territories is that when territories are being described
yes.
for the purpose of defining them and, ascertaining their perceived or proper delineation, some guiding principles are like spelled out in the Nigerian Constitution under local government authority of the 1999 Constitution. It begins to give us an idea of some of the guiding principles.
And what are these?
That should guide how lands are demarcated. And one of them, which is of interest, is this. Under subsection section 7 and subsection 2 of that of the local government authority.
Yes.
Of the under 1999 Constitution. Now it says, ensure. It says the person authorized by law to prescribe the area over which a local government council may exercise authority shall ensure to the extent to which it may be reasonably justifiable that in defining such area, regard is paid to. It begins to list the criteria.
Yes.
The things that you should take into cognizance when you're carving out the area, that it should be described as a local. It says the common interest of the community in the area.
Which are the inhabitants.
Yes. The traditional association of the community. So you see the emphasis on existing communities in defining how boundaries are carved. You look at the issue of Bakassi, and then you look at the villages that describe, Bakassi.
Yes.
Those villages have Akwa Ibom names.
Now, can we, both of you, just give me and the listeners and our viewers online some of the names of the communities that defines and what language did they speak? Yes, both of you, you can name it as you know it.
The communities are Abanantuen, in Riong, in Koi, in Pak, in Ekeya, Atawang East, Atawang West, in Ebekwe. There are almost more than 18 villages.
There's this something called Effiat. I've been hearing Effiat having to do with
Effiat is the Effiat, that is the Effiat the Mangrove Island.
Yes.
That Mangrove Island is where the name of Mbo local government derived. That is where the Mbo
derives
in the
name.
Constitution. Enwang is a headquarter. Enwang is not Mbo local government. The local government is Effiat, that 16 villages, which is recognized by the Nigerian and the Constitution have not been amended.
We will come to the issue of the...
and to add to that, there are very interesting existing laws on the definition of the Bakassi territory.
Like what now?
Existing laws that, that we have itemized, throughout history, from the southeastern laws and so many other laws that describe, all of them point to one thing. Bakassi has always been a territory recognized under the Uyo province. You see, even when they amended those laws, they kept those territories preserved under the Uyo province.
Now, we have been able to establish, if you are hearing us, watching us live, we've been able to establish that originally, Bakassi was, and actually is still, part of Akwa Ibom State by name, by the inhabitants. And someone has even said that with the annexation and whatsoever movement, in fact, some of the Bakassi people, Akwa Ibom people are traditional rulers in Cross River now because of the abracadabra. Now, we go to the World Court. We've established what Abacha did for whatever interest. I don't want to go there because people have ascribed some personal relationships and taking advantage of proximity to some persons to have done what he did. And however, Akwa Ibom could not say it's impossible. No matter who you are, you can't take what belongs to us. Exactly. It's unfortunate, but it is never late because Cross River State has, by its own volition, gone to resurrect a spirit that it should have left since they were in error. Now, Cross River State government, I want to give a very brief rundown. Precisely May 2024, first anniversary of the Governor Basio II as governor of Cross River State, he made a statement to the effect that Cross River State has found oil and it is going back to its oil-producing status. And he also went ahead to announce that they are going to regain, 76 oil wells from Akwa Ibom State. He made that statement in May 2024, and on February 2025, he repeated it. And in July 2025, one of the spokespersons of Cross River State, Mr. Kletusebun, was on a rise, which we are going to play the excerpt of the video. But what did Governor Tu say in May 2024? It says here, the headline was Cross River State regains oil producing status. And the quote says, "It is therefore with pride and excitement that I announce to Cross Riverians that the state is a reservoir of vast oil and gas resources, with the commencement of drilling in 2 oil blocks, as well as ongoing re-entry of abandoned cat wells. This has prompted meetings and discussions with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and NUPRC, and other stakeholders towards full exploration and production, which will lead to the attainment of an oil-producing status. In addition to this realization, the recent visit by the National Boundary Commission on the request by the Cross River State for a revisit of the precise location of the oil wells along our boundaries with neighboring states has sufficient promise that past decisions against the state were incorrect. Cross River State is surely on the road to recovering some of its oil wells." It goes on and on. You have heard what the governor said. And because we want to establish this to help us and help our listeners who may not be privileged to assess the kind of research that we do, we want to just play excerpts of the conversation that Kletusebun had would Arise TV just this month of July.
He has promised to invest in our seaport. He has also promised to revisit the case of our oil wells and also to look at the case of Bakassi.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The Cross River State Governor, Basi Otu, in February this year, announced efforts being made by his administration to reclaim the 76 oil wells that were ceded to Akwa Ibom State in 2012, following a judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The Apex Court in 2012 ruled in favor of Akwa Ibom State in the dispute involving the rightful owners of the oil wells, dismissing Cross River's appeal. The judge who delivered the lead judgment had stated that Cross River lost its status as a littoral state following the cession of the Bakassi Peninsula to Cameroon in 2008. Consequently, the state was deemed ineligible to claim offshore oil wells. Joining us now to have a discussion around this is Honorable Cletus Obum, who was a member of the APC's Presidential Campaign Council during the last elections.
In the first place, Cross River and Akwa Ibom are too close, like the nose and the eye. Whatever affects Akwa Ibom will affect Cross River, and whatever affects Cross River will affect Akwa Ibom. And I remember at that time that it was the present president of the Senate who was the governor. And speaking with him, he was very reluctant resolving the matter in court. But some misadvice, some misunderstanding by the legal team from Cross River State insisted on a court resolution. Under the Duke administration in 2003-2004, that matter was resolved by President Obasanjo politically, and we had thought that it would continue as such. If you know the history of the oil wells, it was 90 oil wells. It was a political resolution by Obasanjo then, which brought us to 76, giving 14 to Akwa Ibom and 76 to Cross River. It was discovered that over the UNCLOS law, the law of the sea, the 200-mile watermark, which is supposed to now take you into offshore and onshore, a very matter which Atta at the time, Governor Atta at the time, with Donald Duke, had argued that the onshore-offshore oil matter, which also brought about the heated debate about resource control, brought about this entire saga. And today, Nigerians will need to know that Cross River State indeed was shortchanged when that decision was taken by court because there was improper measurement of the mileage and the distancing that would have made Cross River State not to be a littoral state. How did it happen? It was discovered only recently with empirical evidence and remapping of the sea and the distancing from the seashore that we have more than 25 nautical miles between Effiat and Calabar, and between the oil wells and the oil rigs offshore that would naturally have put the base in Calabar rather than in Effiat. But at the time, the governmental structure and those controlling the instruments of power, Governor Suene, at that time a military administrator, had to take that base, which is why we found out that mobiles moved from Calabar to Lagos and from Lagos to Effiat at the time. Today, they have gone back to take the measurements and take the straits and discovered in the presence of the Surveyor General of the Federation, Surveyor General of Cross River State, Surveyor General of Akwa Ibom State, and the legal team went into the ship and down to redo the measurements and came to the conclusion that there was some injustice. I am very sure that even the present Akwa Ibom State Governor, being a pastor as well, has also come to the agreement that there was some a technical hitch that misinformed the facts that were presented before the Supreme Court. And they are ready now to go back to the table. And what has happened? We have enough evidence which even Governor Moeno is aware. I don't want to make it public yet until they both of them come on television and sit in the round table, in the table of brotherhood, and say to themselves, sorry for what you suffered on account of our error, or the human error. It was not deliberate. I want to see Moeno do that. Having said so, the political solution is already underway. It is requiring the president's endorsement. That is all that we are waiting for now. Every other proof, every other evidence that ought to be shown has been brought to the table, and both the federal government and the Akwa Ibom State government and Cross River government have come to the conclusion that it was wrong. But the fear and shame of reaction from the populace is what is keeping us down now.
Unbelievably, clear statements by the governor of Cross River State, Senator Basio too, that they have had understanding that Mr. President was going to revisit, was going to build a seaport for them, and then he was also going to revisit the 76 oil wells as well as the Bakassi issue. And Cletus Zobun, you heard him clearly. He talked about the 90 oil wells, which was shared between them, Cross River and Akwa Ibom, before it was now handed over to Akwa Ibom. He talked about UNCLOS law. He talked about improper measurement. He talked about remapping of the sea and distance from the sea. And he went ahead to accuse His Excellency, one of our best, Eswene, Surveyor Generals of the Federal Surveyor General, the Cross River State Surveyor General, and that of Akwa Ibom State, and also has accused Mr. President and Governor Moino of having come together and agreed for a political solution. And he said that there's enough evidence to warrant apologies from Akwa Ibom for what Cross River has suffered. And then the political solution that is on the way, but he said something that is very damning, that it is the shame of what the people of Akwa Ibom will say when they get to know that their governor, Dr. Mo Basieno, has acceded to this very move. Let me come back to you, our mystery man. Mistakebo, from whatever angle, because we will not fail to open the phone line today. Next week, we are coming back as a team to continue from where we stopped, because there is so much more the world needs to know so that we know who should be crying. Now, where do you want to start from? The literal aspect. What does it take for a state to be literal? Is it because your land borders a stream or a river or whatever? Or is there any special term that defines a literal state? Yes, sir.
It is a pity for the Cross River, our brother Cross River State. What they are pushing shadows instead of realities. What is happening is that Cross River State, as he had mentioned, that how can Cross River sit on the river but not entitled to the seashore? Then he mentioned UNCLOS law, which is the law of the sea.
Yes.
People are mentioning laws that they do not know.
Let us know it. Because of time, as fast as you can, we want to open the phone lines today. We are going to come back.
Now,
this conversation is too deep.
What is happening is that Cross River State is sitting on Cross River. When we mention Cross River, let me comment clearly and loud.
Yes.
Cross River State is not, Cross River is not the Cross River State.
It is water.
Cross River is the water that traverses between Akwa Ibom State and Calabar, which is the boundary down to Bakassi Peninsula.
Interesting.
From Ogbogong River, Cross River State have encroached into Ogbogong River. Akwa Ibom State is just crossing their fingers, taking oil wells from Oran. The oil wells that they say they discovered, the 2 rigs is from Oran, Ataife and Abatrefe.
No, please. I want people to really understand us. We'll get to that exactly, because the governor will have to know where those oil wells have been found. But let us define is Cross River State a literal state? Was the Supreme Court wrong in their judgment?
Cross River is not a literal state.
Why?
Because Cross River State is sitting on a cross river, while Akwa Ibom is heading Cross River and sitting on Atlantic Ocean shores.
So you must sit on the Atlantic Ocean
exactly
before you can be a literal state.
Exactly. Cross River State cannot penetrate. Were they using pole vaults
to jump
from Akwa Ibom land into the sea? That is a simple analogy.
You know, I asked Google, I asked AI to tell me, please, list the literal. I asked the question on literal state. It said exactly the thing you said. I told him, okay, in Nigeria, which states are literal states? It never mentioned Cross River. Yeah. And I queried. He said Cross River is not. People can fact check that. Now, Mr. Effiat, just a short take. We'll come back to you. We want to open the phone line even for just 5 minutes. Yes, sir. What do you have to add to that on the issue of literalness of Cross River, because their name is Cross River and because it has river, they border the Atlantic? Is that true?
Yes, it's very important to refer to the basis for which the judgment was made.
Yes.
The ICC judgment of 2002 and the Green Tree judgment of 2006. That allowed Nigeria to cede, so to say, Bakassi Peninsula to Cameroon.
Yes. Now,
one of the things that guide maritime delineations is the laws of the sea. Now, UNCLOS principle defines maritime entanglements such as territorial seas, EEZ, continental shelf, based on land territory that fronts the sea.
Okay.
Based on land territory that fronts the sea.
Does Cross River have it?
And this is what they don't have. So now, from this, definition of the littoral state by UNCLOS,
yes,
it puts Cross River in this perspective that we are talking about now. Akwa Ibom has the seaward projection. Cross River does not have that interface to give it the seaward projection. It's Akwa Ibom that has, which clearly makes Cross River a non-littoral state.
Now, Mr. Ekpo, Cletus Obun was very clear that they have done a remapping, and that team was made up of legal minds, which means people from the court, maybe not just lawyers, Akwa Ibom State Attorney, Surveyor General, that of Cross River State, and the Federal Surveyor General. In 1 minute, please, is it thinkable that such a thing could have happened and Akwa Ibom people and even leaders? I've spoken with some persons who are leaders, which I believe that even if we that dig don't get information, they should have it at their fingertips, and they are saying they are never aware of such a thing. What do you think happened? Do you think is a political abracadabra that's about to play out?
In the first place, Obun said that the surveyor went to the sea to carry out the remapping. On whose authority? And whom did they send the report to? Was the governor of Akwa Ibom State aware?
He has accused the governor of Akwa Ibom State of being aware.
If governor of Akwa Ibom State was aware, he wouldn't have challenged
talking about challenge, the listeners will challenge us because the phones have been ringing since. We want to open the phone lines, and the numbers to call are 0803-085-7755, or you call 0809-066-6909. It's ringing. It just cut now. So you may be the lucky one to call. Yeah, we have a caller already. Hello, good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, analyst.
Thank you so very much. Your name and where you are calling from, and then you have just a minute, sir.
My name is Coco, calling from Uyo.
You're welcome. What's your take?
It's unfortunate that we keep on having people, because of we entrust the state in the hand of some our leaders. They will just do as if that. How can you do such a thing without consulting the whole of Akwa Ibom people? You go as far as go and get a minister of the general of federation, and then Akwa Ibom State General, and then you go and do so. Nobody was aware. And I want to let them understand they only have to rule this state for just 8 years, and then maybe leave. So you don't do something that will affect us forever. Look for people that are learned. Look for people that should consult you. Like, look at the man you bring to studio today. Did he consult people like this?
Okay.
Did he consult everyone when they went through those things? No.
Mr. Coco? Mr. Coco?
Yes?
Thank you so very much.
Yes?
You made a point which I want to clarify now. Like I said, by next we're going to continue. Actually, when this thing came up, some of us, we pushed the message everywhere to places that even they will not react, but you have seen it. And eventually, the government, through the information commissioner, was on, I think, Arise or Channels, where he said, in fact, it was on Arise, the same station that Obun went to. He knocked off the issue, dismissed it. And I personally complained, said, you cannot dismiss by wave of hand. And luckily, on the 24th, not just luckily, appropriately, the Attorney General of Akwa Ibom State made an official press statement on behalf of the governor and government and people of Akwa Ibom State on the 76 oil wells. And the title was 76 oil wells, Restatement of Facts. There are 19 points. By next week, you will hear the 19 points that Akwa Ibom State has said, no way, despite the fact that some of the issues raised by Obun were not addressed in that very press statement, we are taking it up. This matter, the world will hear us. We have another caller on the line. Yes.
Thank you.
Your name and where you are calling from, sir? Move away from your radio, otherwise we'll cut you off, please. If you are calling, move away from your radio. So we have had a Akwa Ibom government response. So let us not accuse our governor. One of the issues people have talked about has been that, it's because APC was APC state, and they said, how can you give so much money to Akwa Ibom state that is PDP? For whatever reason, our governor moved the most massive movement in the history of Nigeria. I said so when it happened. What Governor Moino did has never happened. And I also went ahead to say that it is a spiritual thing. Even the governor, I'm not sure, understand what is going on, because by revelation, there are things that people know will not be recognized. Like our mystery man, Mr. Epo, like Mr. Effiat, who knows them? But they have the information that government needs so urgently, and I'll be surprised if we don't have a meeting after now, not initiated by us, but by those in authority. There's no more phone call coming in. Maybe the calls are jamming. So we want to look at the enough evidence that Obun talked about. Enough evidence which, according to him, has convinced our governor. And the shame, the fear of shame, something that hurts me deep, that this statement can be made on global stage, that our leaders are ashamed of what our Akwa Ibom people will say. Let me come back to you, our mystery man, Mr. Ekpo. Speak to that in a minute.
That address by the Cletus is an insult to Akwa Ibom people.
Absolutely, it is.
And our able governor, Umoeno, which we have rated him so high on our shoulders. It is an insult. And this is the time for Akwa Ibom to set up maybe a panel to look into this case. This case is not a case that will be waved by the hand.
Leave it there. Let's take a parting shot from Mr. Effiat. What do you have to say in less than a minute? Because we'll be back here next week, God willing.
All right. Thank you so much, MKO.
Yes.
I very much concur with Mr. Ekpo. Now, you see, the thing is, these issues are issues that border on the posterity of the state.
Absolutely.
The future of the security of the state.
Integrity of our leaders.
So this is not something to be taken lightly. We need to move very quickly as a state to make bold statements. Bold statements in the form of, concrete reactions to things like this. And concrete reactions are what at the level of those who have been placed in authority to look at these issues. Yeah. How do where did these issues come from? Why is there a mismatch between the position of the government of Akwa Ibom State and that of Cross River?
And then to add to that, why is it that some ordinary citizens have facts that you can't even hear people in government come close to that? Indeed. And these facts are at the beck and call. This is our appeal on this edition of Open Forum with Citizen MKO. Remember, we are about people, issues, ideas, and solutions. And we are nothing but an NGO. We are a not-for-profit organization. We are selfless to a fault. We are doing this against all odds. We want to beg His Excellency to give us a listening ear. No leader, the Yoruba say that the Ife was built with the knowledge of the elders and the young ones. So, Akwa Ibom is to be built by the knowledge of those in power and the knowledge of some persons who may be unproductive, but blackmail those that have something to offer. Next week, we are going to be back, and you are going to hear something about what is called Mangrove Swamp, and the custodian of the vast knowledge, among other people that I know. Mr. Ekpo will be here with Mr. Effiat, and we are going to tell you some things you may never have known, and that there is much more that is in stock for Akwa Ibom State that is as vast as even over 2,000 oil wells. You are going to hear more. You will hear the testimonies, and you hear how 86 oil wells have this 666? I don't understand. No. Akwa Ibom oil wells, 86 were signed off just by same political solution under Obasanjo. And when Godswill Akpabio came, he said, no way, he went to court. And he won. Rivers went to Supreme Court and won. And the Rivers State has 86 oil wells that are within Akwa Ibom territory. And when they went to the Supreme Court he said, political solution is greater than historical and what other term that they use? Facts. The fact, he saw the fact. He said, no, but your political solution is greater. Very terrible things do happen, but we'll not allow it. We'll keep talking about it. And I want to thank our guests. We want to thank you, our listeners and our viewers online. And if you want to support what we are doing, the number to call is 0802-757-7497. I take that again. If you want to support this program, we need sponsors. We need partners. The number is 0802-757-7497. I am Citizen Matthew Kofi O'Connor. I am a productivity advocate. I am a reformer. And I'm a citizen with extraordinary drive of patriotism. See you next week.
Oh.